We can only move forward.
Only forward.
For a brief period of time there, we were standing still, but we never went backwards. That's the important thing. Welcome back to James and Flav for now. My name's James. This is Flav. You have Flav? No? Suits you. Looks good.
Thank you.
How are you? It's been a week. Lot can change, can't it? A lot can change. And this podcast will never cease to amaze me in how it can age badly.
Why? What were you referring to?
So, so for anyone joining us for the very first time, this is a podcast where we kind of take the mick out of anything in and around football, right? And we've got a bit called unwritten rules, which are rules that cannot change. And the number one rule that we spoke about for weeks was that you can't have a go at the owner of a football club if they are currently champions of Europe. Now, this is all obviously, these are all sort of tongue-in-cheek comments. The whole podcast is supposed to be a bit of fun, and actually, I think it's almost worth saying it before we dive into like all this stuff. Is the fact that this is a weird. There's obviously serious stuff that we kind of need to talk about with Roman Abramovich because it is the biggest talking point in football, or certainly the Premier League. But at the same time, there is obviously serious shit going on. And we haven't actually spoken about it because we haven't been able to do the mailbag this week. But so I would just warn people that, like, here or there, we're probably going to make jokes, but we will try our very, very best to not say anything insensitive.
I think it's okay, mate. People need a bit of light relief in these times. They're fucking depressing. Do you know what I mean? So I think if we do make a joke, enjoy it.
yeah, please laugh.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah, for the love of God, laugh.
Can I just cut you there, Jim? Can you hear my chickens outside?
I can't.
Can you hear that?
What?
Can you hear that?
No.
Good. I can hear it.
Oh, I
can. My fucking brain.
Oh, I can sort of hear it when you speak.
One of them decided to nest just outside the front door, and every time she lays an egg, fucking makes a bloody racket. Really? I'm sure it's painful. They are massive eggs compared to the tiny little chicken. Just get on with it. Anyway,
don't scream when you're constipated, do you? Tell her that.
I'll tell the chicken that. Yeah.
Chicken chat. We've got lots to talk about here.
Yep.
Some of the football bits we will do. But people were annoyed at last week's podcast. 49 minutes. Some people said there was a football chat, which feels like a lot. We will try and steer clear of that. We have Samism's quotes of the week. Got a new rules bit, possibly a new bit that I think's got a week at best. Best. And the continuation of, toilet chat. We sort of drift back to toilet chat, sadly. So lots to enjoy. Lots of new patrons as well who haven't been able to enjoy the fruits of it. Yeah, because I was on holiday this week, but we got back, and that's why we're doing it right now.
Where did you go?
I went to Gran Canaria.
You didn't go in the sea, did you? Because there's great whites in those waters.
I did. A shark came up to me. I said, I didn't even say anything. I just went, do one.
That's you're playing with fire, mate.
You're gonna get burnt. I'm not worried about it. You've got a newfound desire to swim with the sharks. So
it's not newfound. It's been a long-standing thing. Do you know I've got an app on my? It's getting weird. I'm even weirding myself out about my love of sharks. Right? I've got an app called Shark Incident, and it tells me immediately when someone in the world has been bitten.
It is. It's erotic, isn't it? It's a fetish. It is. You can't have no. Come on, people in the chat I'm sure will back me up on this one. Why on earth, if it's not turning you on in some way, why have you got such a desire? You've got so much of a desire that you have got an app that's going to just let you know when someone's been bitten by a shark, which you also peddle this thing that, like, don't have a go at the sharks. They're not actually bad people. It's the humans that are the bad people. But at the same time, you're getting gentle, like, little semi-erections from it shark bites. Oof.
There's a lot of gaslighting going on here.
There's no smoke without shark fetish.
I just like to know. I like to keep abreast of these things.
Do you ever ask your missus just to put her hand over her head like that? Just kiss me like that, but just nibble my shoulder, will you?
Yeah,
it's odd. It's really odd.
It is odd.
So you've got a little app that
I'll tell you about it if you want. It's called.
Christ.
It is called. This is great podcasting. It's called Shark Bites. Spelt BYTES if you want to get hold of it. I've got a new notification. So I'll let you know what's going on. Shark activity, recent incidents. Okay, so shark incident reported off San Miguel in California.
San Miguel?
San Miguel, place called San Miguel Island. San Miguel Island. A shark incident has been reported off the coast of San Miguel Island in Santa Barbara, California. Coast Guard Petty Officer Aidan Cooney reported a call came in at 11:25 Saturday, and the unidentified person was transported to a helicopter. No information was given regarding the extent of the victim's injury, so that one's a bit of a mystery. So, what could have happened? I have to use my imagination.
That give you a little tick. Yeah, I quite like it when I have to fill in the blanks
because it can be anything I want.
Yeah, amazing. Bites with that. I don't think there's anything more irritating to me than the use of a Y instead of an I or a Z instead of an S. It winds me up so much.
No, I know what you're saying. But they're playing with it, aren't they? They're having a good time.
Trying to be different. Alexandros Papamichal. Nice. Use this to fix Flav's camera. Thank you for the super chat. I'll pass that on.
This isn't a new angle. This is just I couldn't get my camera working, so this is the webcam.
Bunsey D, morning Jim and Flav. Only forwards, or we can only move forwards? Does it matter? Will this cause a civil war between us?
I was a bit annoyed on Twitter because obviously we've got a new patron, and obviously whenever someone mentions that, obviously you greet them with the immortal phrase, harmonica, we can only move forwards. And then afterwards you replied to it and said only forwards. Causing chaos, mate.
I thought it was a risk. I just thought it'd be
let's choose
weak from me. No, I just thought it'd be weak from me if I went exactly the same as you. I thought it'd be lazy, like I've not really sort of taken in the information. Supercuts, yeah, great example. Hate it. There was another one. There was a coffee shop in Peckham called Kamikaze. And I mean, fair play, that is a legitimate Z. But maybe I just get angry at the letter Z. Anyway, quotes of the week from last week. We have more patrons, by the way, so thank you. And we will be doing our mailbags. But whilst you're waiting, there are 60-odd mailbags that you can go and enjoy if you would like to become a patron for less than a London pint. Quotes of the week. Joseph Tornabene Zalas. You don't have to be right when giving an opinion if the opinion is what people want to hear. Is a great line. That's from you, Flav. I thought that was quite deep. You don't have to be right when giving an opinion if the opinion is what people want to hear. I think I've been thinking about those kind of things a lot recently, and I think there's a lot of truth in that. Not saying the truth, saying what makes your life a little bit easier, because I think that there is space for that at times.
There is no truth, is there? There's just very, very, very different, very varying shades of grey. Your truth is what you believe it to be. It's not. There is no truth. There's nothing so binary, and especially in opinion. And you like this. You only have to look at what's happening in Ukraine and Russia and how differently the people are viewing this invasion and or military special exercise. If you're Russian, it's all just everyone's just playing with words.
Okay, those chickens are mental. I can hear it now.
Hang on.
It's fine. Notification 90+5 goal. Great white. James Scape says. Shark bites. Beep 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 boop. It's an app. It has megabytes. How is everyone in the chat, by the way, as he walks off? Isn't it weird? Isn't it weird that Flav has chickens? It's fine, but you wouldn't expect him to have. There we go. That's a chicken on the podcast. Oh my god! Smash the like button. 542 of you. If that's not worth a like, I don't know what. Morning, everyone. The weekend's here. Now that is a cracking little haircut as well. Who's this?
This is Khabib.
Oh god, I was just thinking like last time with the dog. Oh
Khabib.
my word. That's a wicked. I love the haircut, Khabib.
Yeah, it's cool.
This is going to be all over Twitter at some point, isn't it? What's Khabib like?
It's good chicken. Good chicken.
Yeah, solid.
Chicken. Respectful.
Where have you put it?
Tame, actually. It's just on the side. I've got to take it back out, though, because it's going to do my head in.
Yeah,
Phil for me.
Okay. Only on the James and Flav for Now podcast. That is mental. Bloody hell. So we're... Yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about with this comment was... So you don't have to be right to be when given an opinion if the opinion is what people want to hear. I thought that was a good quote, and why I chucked it in was just because the whole sort of... Obviously, I've been on holiday, and like we're trying to stay on top of it, and like, you know, using Surfshark's fantastic VPN to watch the BBC News and stuff. And what I find interesting is that coming from where, like, our industry, which has been debate and the deciding of what is kind of true for you, and it often coming, but there's always this massive, like, sliver of, well, of course he's going to say that because he supports that team.
Yep.
Like, watching, just because I've been around that for 6 years or whatever it is, watching the sort of Channel 4 News or BBC News or whatever it might be, and there was one, I watched Channel 4 News yesterday, and they were talking about the woman on it was able to ask the Defence Secretary, I think, forgive me for getting the name wrong, but asking him a question. She was basically saying quite a sort of emotive question about a young girl who'd been killed, a Ukrainian girl who'd been killed, and how the blood was on his hands, or on how do you sleep at night kind of thing. And he said, well, you weren't, you know, what about all these atrocities here and there? And like, I know what you're trying to do. You sound like a talk show host. You shouldn't be asking me these questions. And I was just like, wow, this is like, because we often kind of get painted a picture of what's right and what's wrong, and who the bad guys are and who the good guys are. And I don't think, certainly like dealings with Russia. Do you remember when we went to Kaliningrad, didn't we, for the World Cup? And we spoke to a guy, Russian guy, and he said, I remember chatting to him, he goes, Russia's fine. But whenever I go to whenever I've been to London and I read whatever newspaper it is, they've, like, everyone who's Russian's a maniac. Anyone who's Russian is obviously a villain. And look, often the truth is like somewhere in between. But it is incredible. This war is incredible in terms of how you're seeing it being portrayed to, you know, the Russian people through their media, and the fact that we're obviously portraying it another way. And I find myself weirdly going, should I totally believe how heavy we're going on it? Obviously I do. I've got a mind of my own and I understand it. But I just think it's interesting, like, the different sides when it comes to news, because I think often you just go, well, the news is the news. And even in a report with this Russian lady, she's going, well, no, it's not a war, it's just a mission. That why would they told us they wouldn't do that. And then obviously they are doing that. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's propaganda, isn't it, essentially, fundamentally?
Yeah, exactly.
On both sides. You know, how many people are? I mean, we could talk a lot about this on the mailbag next week if you want to. But
I just think it's pertinent. So I think it's interesting. If people don't want to,
especially pertinent,
go away.
Given obviously what's happening at Chelsea and Abramovich, it is pertinent. You're right.
Yeah. Let me get these quotes of the week, which again, and then we'll come back to Roman, because Joseph Tessia says, quote of the week: Flav, they're coming up your arse, Jim. I could do with it not being as tight as that. And
this is on. Didn't you lose as well against Blackburn?
We're getting relegated. We're going down.
But do you feel better now that nothing's going to happen?
I'm drifting back to. I'm sort of acclimatizing to it. I'm really annoyed because I said I'd go for this sort of lads' weekend, bizarrely in Norwich. And I'm going to Norwich Brentford. So any Brentford fans who are there tomorrow, some say hello, or Norwich fans, sure. And then I've done the thing where I didn't realise QPR at home, so I'm missing QPR at home
to go watch
Brentford Norwich.
Can't you just go and watch it and then meet up with them after?
It's Norwich though, isn't it? It's miles away, and we're
going. I see.
We're going today. We're going today, so. So I kind of said I'd do it, and I also didn't realise, which is also making me very scared about QPR. We're finished. It's over. We're getting relegated. Honestly, don't even worry about it. We're not massive or tiny, but we're so crap now. I can't believe how bad we are now. And it's just football, isn't it? It's just like, yeah, go on. No, I don't believe. Are you sure I can believe? Are you sure I'm all right to believe? Yeah, no, go on. I go believe. Tell the world. And then they pull the rug from underneath you. Yeah, we're shit, mate. We're so shit. It's so annoying. We've just completely forgotten us. It's unbelievable. We've literally gone. It's like someone's pressed a reset button on how these guys play football. It's heartbreaking. Anyway. So I'm missing the game, but I'm partly in my head. I'm kind of going, maybe this is good. Maybe like I need to get away. I need to reset. Give them the space to win, and then I'll come back once they're good again.
Okay.
Anyway,
I'm not sure what. I couldn't think of anything. Not worse, but going to watch a football match as an activity that doesn't involve Tottenham is just like. I think of anything more boring to do.
Well, we're going up. We're going up on the.
Some of your lads support Brentford. I understand that.
Yeah, so some of the lads support Brentford. We're trying to find a weekend that we could do, and we're going up today and have like big.
Some lager beers.
Yeah,
some lager beers.
Yeah,
just
with a top of lemonade, and and yeah, so it's over the weekend. So I kind of understand. What's mental though is that. So I went to Brentford Norwich at home because they had a spare ticket. So I've gone to Brentford Norwich. It's like, oh yeah, I'll dip into the Premier League football game live, but on my terms. I want two Championship teams playing, and I watch them and them alone.
Brentford have this weird pull on people, don't they? Because we know another one of our mates. He just a Chelsea fan,
nearby, doesn't he?
He just likes going to watch Brentford.
He just wants the purity of Brentford. I get it. But yeah, so yeah, I will have gone to Brentford Norwich, home and away. Bizarrely, which is going to be strange, but hopefully, and do you know what's also a killer is we always, whenever I go watch Brentford, QPR normally away, and we always lose. We always lose. We can't be losing now.
No, it's looking ominous.
It is looking ominous. Another quote of the pod, and this could be, it's probably dangerous, probably shouldn't even say it. Quote of the pod, simply Flav saying death merchants. I don't remember you saying, I don't know what the context is for that.
Describing Arsenal, wasn't they? Because they come out of their munitions factory. They created weapons.
Very good. Death merchants. Should have used that in Lad Bible. That'd be good. Right, let's do Roman.
Might not have made the cut.
Maybe. yeah. On the chopping. What's it? Chopping floor. Oh, don't know. Right, unwritten rules. So this is a bit that we've had for a few weeks, which we want to continue. So other unwritten rules will be discussed in this. But I think it's the good place to talk about Roman Abramovich, what his legacy will be, what you think it is, and see if we can do this. I don't know. See what comes out, really, because I think there's a lot of different thoughts on it. I did see. I was like, I wonder what Rory's. I always like to hear what's Rory thinking about this one. And I searched Rory Jennings.
I watched about 3 or 4 minutes of it.
Yeah, and I get what he's saying totally, but there was a guy who reacted to him, to what he'd said, and it was like. Here's another thing I hate.
Another YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Another YouTube channel. Yeah. Right.
Here's something I hate in YouTube's, but when people they turn the camera on, they go live, and they go, it's after a game, and they go, let me gather myself whilst the camera's on, before because I am gonna unleash hell. It's like, shut up, mate. Anyway, this guy disagreed with Rory. Let's put it that way.
So Rory's main part was that in recent, well, actually not. We know Rory.
Do you know what though? I get what he's saying. This is why I'm really intrigued to talk to you about this, because I want to know what your feelings are. You're very articulate with these kind of things. I don't want to pile the pressure on.
Cheers.
But anyway, Rory was delighted. He said it was the correct decision. But I think he was aligning it. He was aligning it to the, for want of a better word, atrocities he's done on the club, as in like mad. Lampard.
That's madness. Rory has got some front here. He really does. Because there is no one who's taken more glee from every bit of success that Abramovich has given to Chelsea than Rory Jennings. So don't ease. I've spoken to him off camera when there's no cameras around and whatnot. Of course, he genuinely was upset about Lampard because I feel like he's had all this success and now he wants something to actually be able to believe in. And Lampard was that one, one of their heroes. But Rory is not delighted that Abramovich is no longer at Chelsea. He is not delighted. There isn't a single Chelsea fan out there that is delighted, unless the ones who have a solid ethical boundary, sort of foundation. Then those ones have the right to be delighted if that's what they're into. But it's all bollocks. It's bluster. They are absolutely hating the fact that Abramovich is no longer going to be able to buy them all their success.
But what I would say is that I don't know. This is what I mean. I think it's so complicated because the thread of it. I was thinking about it yesterday. First of all, he can be delighted because he can have there's an element here where he was a fan before it, and I was thinking for Chelsea fans of that age, that kind of age, I wonder if they're really, really honest with themselves. And I don't know the answer to this. Obviously, I just support a team that gives me an element of hope and then falls off a cliff. But that FA Cup win in 97, 98, or like when you with Ken Bates, not because Ken Bates was this beacon of morality, but like because it wasn't just
a normal football club.
Yeah, exactly. Were those trophies and nights more special than a lot of the others?
No,
I would guess. I would guess.
I think you're being romantically. I think that maybe after the fourth league win, maybe it didn't feel as good as that. Maybe,
but none of them. The romance thing annoys me a little bit because the romance thing that gets used as like, oh, you're not. There's a naivety to it. I think if you, I'm not sure this is Rory's road here, but I think if you spread out, like if you zoom out, all you're asking for when it comes to the sort of the romance of something is for it to remain a sport.
All right.
So like my point is with this and with these, because what the legacy of Abramovich is the fact that he was the first of many, right? And he was the first to bring in this kind of money, like this outrage. Like there was Jack Walker, there were those people, but then there was Roman Abramovich, and that led to all the Man Cities and all these things, right? And
he was the first one to use football to sports watch. That's what he was. Yeah, he was the first person to come in and use a football club to nullify a different agenda.
Yeah,
and they did that using all his money.
Yeah, well, providing a blueprint as well for like just spending outrageous.
The nation states to hide, create a sports wash. He's created a blueprint to sports wash,
and that's because the sort of the fact that he sort of came in to a point for his own protection. I don't think it's something that we can kind of get around as well.
Almost entirely.
Yeah, but this is the thing. So when you're discussing something like this, there's so many different roads and avenues that you can go down. You can make it purely about football, purely about footballing decisions, purely about the money, and then purely about the where the money came from. And often we're all complicit in all of those kind of things. Look at clothing. Like when you buy clothing from a sweatshop, but you don't really know about it too much, so I'm just going to play dumb here. Or food that's not grass-fed pigs or whatever, ethically sourced, all those things. Like we're all complicit in all of these things, and this is why I want to kind of get to a point here where you can have this kind of conversation and it not be like, oh, but I'm on this side, you're on that side. Like let's let it be what it is.
You can though. You can, James. Right now, generally, and I suppose over the last 20 years, that has been the case. It's football, but it's not connected to football, but it's politics. So football and politics. Let's just focus on the football thing. But right now, you can't. I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'll just say this. I'll say this. The question is about asking about what is his legacy. His legacy his legacy to me, to Chelsea fans, is the best chairman that there has ever been, ever, anywhere. Hands down.
Yeah,
hands down. There is no, in terms of what he's done for Chelsea in a sporting sense, there has never been, and there probably never will be, a chairman like him ever. Chelsea fans are the luckiest people in terms of football on earth, and they always will be. Maybe Man City to some degree are comparable, but Chelsea, it happened to Chelsea first, and they're, I think since 2003, one of the most, or second, maybe to City, or even still, most successful football club in the country. The fact that he's now leaving and they don't have to pay him back the money that he's given them, 1.5 billion, just wiped off. Doesn't matter. It's insane how lucky they've been, right?
Yeah. And also that just with that 1.5 billion, where he's going, oh, don't worry about that, it's fine. If you sell the club for 4 billion and you've bought it for 140 million, you're still fine, aren't you? You've still done okay out of it. So any kind of I can't believe he's writing it off. I don't think that's.
Well, Chelsea should. The new owners should absorb that debt. That's how it should work. But in this instance, they're not. He's saying no. Any profits over and above go to Ukrainian people, right? Which is a joke as well. But anyway, so that's the legacy.
Why is that a joke? Just because
I'm going to explain.
Okay.
So so that's why. That's his legacy to football, to what Sky Sports want him to be. But his actual legacy is the existential crisis that football is in right now. That we're having to choose to ignore the fact that people are buying football clubs not for football, but to change the perception of the organisation or the person or the country completely. So that's what's happening with Newcastle. You know, the Saudi Arabian human rights record is horrendous. That's what you should be focusing on. But what happens, because people don't really give a shit, is you focus on the fact that they've bought a football club. Now, Abramovich is directly linked to Putin. That's irrefutable and not alleged in any way. He has worked with Putin for many years, right? And his legacy is that fundamentally, Chelsea have benefited from his wealth that was created from a guy called Boris Yeltsin.
Yeah,
Boris Yeltsin. Anyway,
it was Yeltsin.
Who was in an election and it was quite close, and he was essentially the first prime minister or president after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and all of the gas prices and coal and gas and everything that Russia was abundant in was owned by the people. It was a communist state, so it was everything was nationalized. It belonged to the people. Not that there wasn't corruption, the people didn't get it, but fundamentally it belonged to the state and to the people. Now, by ensuring that Yeltsin got elected, people like Abramovich and the other oligarchs funded his campaign, pushed public opinion towards him because they knew that he was going to privatize all of these industries. And then what he did as a reward or as a payment or a payback, Abramovich and there's another guy I can't remember. He's another oligarch who's dead now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, go on. I thought you meant someone else.
He died because, well, actually, I don't know why he died. He committed suicide, but it was an open verdict. Anyway, he So Abramovich was able, with his colleague, to buy a company which essentially owned and produced gas, distributed gas and oil and whatnot for 100 million, and its actual worth was 300 billion. So effectively, he stripped a nation of its asset for funding an election for Boris Johnson in return. Putin came in and destroyed all the oligarchs, took their money, apart from the ones that would back him and would never become politically active. And Abramovich was one of those guys. That's who's responsible for Chelsea's success. So that for me is his legacy, and that's what for people outside of football, that's what his legacy would be. But we don't really care, do we? Because I haven't spent the last 20 years thinking about that. I've spent the last 2 days reading about it because Ukraine's getting battered. So I'd have no sympathy for Abramovich, and it was pretty sickening the way he's reported. I think to some degree in the on Sky Sports, and also when I posted something on Twitter, the amount of Chelsea fans they go, well, keep politics out of football, keep politics out of football, and they're saying that because they're Chelsea fans because they want him to stay. I get it. He brought politics to football. He did that. You can't ignore it because he was the one that made it political by buying.
Sport has always been political. Sport has always been political. It's a platform where that, and I think that's, I don't know, like live and learn a lot of the time with these things within sport, right? So I think this is like I've been saying this recently. If you're a fan of a team that probably in the Championship more likely, right? If you see your team spending loads of money on new signings, I think we're getting to a stage now as football fans where we need to be a bit smarter about, okay, hang on a minute, why is he spending that kind of money? Like it can't just always be the owners. Like I think we've seen with the Super League that there is that power that fans can have, right? But they have to kind of get out of their own way a lot of the time. And the thing that is number one with all of it, and I've said this from day one, is the sport. And this is going aside from everything you've said, and I totally respect what you're saying. But when we're talking about, a thing I always come back to is that the sport is the most important thing. And when it's about the sport, it's about the competitiveness of that sport. So this has happened, right? You know, you can't go backwards on that kind of stuff. Chelsea are obviously an enormous football club and will continue to be so, you know, despite whoever comes in next, right? Because they're so huge now, right?
There'll be tons of nation states that need a club like Chelsea. There won't be a problem.
Yeah. But
Spurs need one if we want a success, and that's the point. That's the existential crisis we find ourselves in. In order to be success, we have to sell our soul, and that's football.
Yeah, but I still think that that activism that you're seeing from players now, for example, or from everyone to a point, that has to happen collectively amongst football fans to sometimes the detriment of yourself, and I think that will be the thing over the coming years. I think people are seeing through this more and more, and maybe this is a bit of a positive spin because I have seen all this stuff about the Super League and how they're now looking to sort of put it in a way where there might be the Super League that doesn't involve the English clubs, but the ground will be broken and then they'll be able to make their way through into that. Like, we need to be switched on with this stuff. Like this independent regulator that was spoken about a year ago, it's all gone quiet, that kind of stuff. And again, when there will be more billionaires trying to buy football clubs, and I don't think it will stop until one of those owners that it looks like it ticks all the boxes and it fits everyone in terms of the money that's coming in, perfect. But the fans will know that, no, hang on, I see through this, and stop it. Until that happens, I think this will just continue. And the only other barrier that can sort of ring fence this to allow the sport to continue, and like you say, the sport is getting away from us now in terms of the money of it all, is for the powers that be in terms of the sport that aren't aligned with any of these clubs to actually have that power and to stop the amount of spending. People are always kind of going, oh, hang on, why can he spend this amount and we can't? For good reason. Like, that has to be kind of remembered when we're talking sport specifically, because Abramovich did it and there weren't any regulations, and then it meant that others could do the same. And now we're trying to get it back, and it's really hard, obviously.
Yeah, it is hard. I mean, fundamentally, sport and football should be a distraction from your everyday life, right? And you don't want to be thinking about this stuff. And obviously, at the moment with shit going on in the world, you can't ignore it, right? But generally, you can ignore anything, because fundamentally, every Chelsea fan loved what happened under Abramovich, because what a feeling to have all those amazing moments and have and these people are living normal lives with normal problems, and the respite that Chelsea and Abramovich gave to these people. Why would anyone dig? No one would dig down them, and no one would want to bother to acknowledge it. No one. You know, I'm being a hypocrite because I know that I would have celebrated as wildly as all Chelsea fans.
Because that's a really good talking point. That this, like, I don't Chelsea fans, Newcastle fans, Man City fans, I could understand like why you would find it so difficult. You would be somewhat triggered because I don't know. Again, I don't know what I would do. You know, you can look broadly, and then you look at those moments, but they're triggered understandably because it wasn't their choice. But then at the same time, they're getting these great moments, and you know, if you invest in your football club long enough, everyone deserves their moments, right? So I understand that, but it's allowed to be confusing, and there's allowed to be a cognitive dissonance there, and like what I said it when I was talking about Newcastle. Like Newcastle fans deserve success, of course they do. But the thing that I was saying then is that all football fans, if you know when you go to your team, you personally feel like you deserve that success, and I get it. Like
I do,
yeah. See, there you go. So you've proven the point. But what I said was it will always be there. That is the thing is like you can enjoy those moments. Of course you can. Like you're saying, Man City fans didn't enjoy the Aguero moment. Of course you did, but it is there. You have to acknowledge that it is there. That like because it's of where it's all coming from. It's just like you can have both. I think.
Yeah. But without a shadow of a doubt, in terms of what he's done in football. And what he's done for Chelsea, it was unbelievable. I doubt you'll ever see anyone. And look, even if his motives were almost completely political, it was clear that he loved Chelsea and he loved football, and he also talked about how interested he was in buying a football club for a long time. You remember when he joined? He said, "I was just bored and needed something new to do." I don't know if that's a true quote, but that was in a Tifo video I watched. Apparently, his reason for buying Chelsea is because he was bored and needed something new to do. I can't believe how lucky you just how lucky. It's incredible. It's incredible.
And it'll be interesting to see how. Because I agree with you. I think he's the most successful owner in terms of, you know, trophy per year of anyone ever.
Yeah, he's made supporting his rivals so much more difficult. Because all our fans are like, well, we just want what Chelsea have got. We want our chairman to spend like Abramovich spends. But unless you're so rich it doesn't matter, you can't. So
and that's a great point, because that comes back to it as well. It's the problem with this is that the expectations that and that comes full circle to what we were talking about with that initial rule, because the initial complaint was that look how much Man City are investing in their academy, look how much they're spending in this and that and this and that, and the reason they're doing that is because they have like unlimited cash. And that makes the bar
they can't spend it all.
That makes the bar like just outrageous, just ridiculous. And again, the focus is always on these top teams. Like that's the other thing I was thinking the other day again with the Super League stuff. If you hear, and I'm talking to people watching, if you hear anyone saying the phrase super club, super coach, anything with super in front of it, you've got to, honestly, I mean this seriously, you have to call them out and stop that stuff. Because when people start saying that and start going, oh, these people are at this level and these people are at this level, that's when Super Leagues occur. Because it becomes normalised. And that's where this sport is heading. And I
don't understand why. Like, I know I get it. That was bad, but wouldn't it be good if just all the big boys did fuck off? Well, football's still going to be competitive and fun, just less money.
Yeah, I think it's.
I think as a championship clubs, I'd be looking at it and going, we don't really need you lot. If you want to fuck off, go. That's what my position would have been.
No, I get that, but I think this, and again, it comes back to that romanticism. Is like you need sport. There has to be sport is so important. It's so important because the point is that here are the rules. Everyone's got an opportunity. There's so many byproducts from sport, and if you just go, well, these guys they're super, and why are they super? Boreham Wood can be super. If they get bought by. If Roman Abramovich goes, actually, I'm going to buy Boreham Wood now. Like, this is all calmed down. I'm going to go buy Boreham Wood. They become a super club in 10 years. So what makes someone a super club is just having more money than someone else. And that's not a good thing to put out. That's not a good message to send, that if you've got enough cash, you're in. That's the problem.
No, that's society. It's a reflection of society, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah, because we're in a war where to stop a war, we're going after 100 people that just have the most money. That's going to stop a war.
Well,
That's outrageous, isn't it? I know there's other elements here, but the fact that, like, when in previous wars have they gone, right? Let's go find the guys who've got the the £600 million yachts. Like, it's mad.
I don't know. Just on that, just because fucking I don't know how much more I can talk about this. Feel like I've been having about a million conversations about Ukraine. It's all anyone wants to talk about, which is understandable, but it's draining. Did you see? You watched the game last night, Wood?
Yeah, some of it. Yeah.
Did you see the owner? They did an interview with the owner, and I thought, what a lovely man. I'm sure he's done horrible things in his life, like most people. But
if you've got money, you have to. Apparently,
he
well,
yeah, he during the lockdown, he sold his or remortgaged his house so he could continue to play his players. Unbelievable, that. Yeah. Probably now though, isn't he? Brian Wood.
Yeah, happy days.
How much money have they made?
Yeah, I wonder, but hopefully he's taking a nice chunk of that. He deserves it.
He deserves it.
Mark Perelez with a super chat. How did Roman make his money? ? Read a book! ! Thank you. Yeah, it's all murky stuff. But I think you've got to talk about it, and you can. That's the problem. You can't dislodge the two. One leads to the other when you're talking about these things. What else we got? So let's give you an unwritten rule. End of football chat. What sort of football chat? End of political chat. What's the sign for end of political chat?
This.
Yeah.
No. It's this, Jim.
Oh, Joe, I'll quick story on. So we're playing cards with the wife. God bless her. And do you know what really winds someone up? It's a great power move. So I was playing cards, playing this game called Sevens, and I beat her. You put down the last card. Oh no, that was it. She went to put a card down to win, and it was the wrong card. So I pointed, I went, and then she had to take. I went like that, and my finger, and she went, "Never do that again." And I went, "Okay." So then she had to take her card, and I had one card left, so I finished, and I went. I'll tell you what, if you want to wind up someone playing cards, do that in front of them. It's absolutely amazing.
I would do that to my missus, but she beats me at everything. Absolutely everything. It's like, have you ever played Dobble?
Dobble, no.
Great game. She's a wizard.
Really?
Fucking wizard.
Yeah. I sort of initially with new games, I'm winning, and then she sort of starts to get the strategy, and I'm like, oh shit, I can see her coming.
Yeah. My daughter's pretty good at it as well. Dobble. She's
Dobble.
Yeah. Dobble. And do you know like Wordle? You know Wordle, right?
Yeah.
My missus just came. Have you ever seen Lingo on television? Lingo. You must do. You work from home sometimes, so you must have seen Lingo.
No.
Well, it's like Wordle. It's on telly. My missus gets every single one right. I'm going to sign her up. She won't want to go on, but I'm definitely that's £3,000 she could win. £4,000. Do it.
Get on it. All right.
It's so good.
Hayden Salter, unwritten rule. This rule is more applicable to Sunday League, where you might experience biased linesmen. When you score a goal against an opposition that is ruled out for offside, however, you believe it's onside, you complain at the lino. If you then score another legitimate goal in the game, you must ask the biased lino if that goal was offside in a smug manner. 30 likes on that. Get your unwritten rules in, by the way, guys. Do we have some comments of the week? We don't. Not good enough. New rules. This is something different. Just in terms of the relegation battle, let's get the league table up, shall we? Just briefly, because it is heating up. It is heating up.
Oh yeah.
Spurs are so Jekyll and Hyde. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
You're leaning into it. You're leaning into it.
Yeah, man. Because I just don't know what's going to happen. It's madness. It's chaos. This is Spurs of the 90s, right?
Yeah.
When we were good. When we were the best version of Spurs in the 90s was this.
Yeah.
Madness. You don't know what's going to happen. We could win, go to Leeds, slap them about, could have scored 10 and lose the Borough. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's pure Jose Dominguez, isn't it?
But I've got a little poser for you. If we beat Everton at home on Monday, which is within our locker.
Sure, you would expect that. They are fourth from bottom.
Indeed.
Staring down the barrel.
You know, is Lampard a good manager? Is he? You answer that question for me. Is he good? Don't know.
He's not proven it yet for me. I'll be honest.
You just don't know.
I do like him.
And Everton's a tough job. That's a tough, difficult job. Always has been. They got no money and all that stuff. And so if we beat them, Arsenal got their game in hand on us. We've got to play Arsenal at home. I think it's in our hands still, Jimbo. It might still be in our hands.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, somehow I've still got a game in hand on you now, which is mad. But you still got 2 games on West Ham.
And 2 games on West Ham, and we've got 3, and we've got 2 on United. It's in our hands, Jim.
Yeah.
We've got to play Man United.
Yeah.
I mean, if we win,
you got that 2 weeks time, yeah.
Yeah, don't.
But you can't be trusted, can you?
No. Do not trust Tottenham. If you're going to put a bet on, you think, oh, Tottenham outside here. That's in your head. Don't.
Yeah.
We will let you down.
There's
there is no world where Tottenham Hotspur finish top 4, no matter how good it looks.
My favourite FPL podcast is I've forgotten the name of it. I think it's FPL Planet. Yeah, Planet FPL. Sorry, Planet FPL. It's brilliant. There's a guy called James on it who is a Spurs fan actually.
I know him.
Do you know him? Have you had him on your pod?
I haven't had him on the pod, but I've interviewed him before for a film I made.
Right. He'd be so
guy.
Good for your pod. He's so knowledgeable. He's so knowledgeable.
I'll hit him up. So James says he does have a good voice.
Yeah, he's amazing. But he has this thing where the answer is with FPL. The answer is never Matt Doherty. That's his thing for the whole season. You're going looking at Spurs assets, all this stuff. The answer is never Matt Doherty, and then he goes and scores a goal against a clean sheet.
But what I'm saying is about Matt Doherty is he's never done anything wrong.
Doherty. He's never done anything wrong in a back 3 as a right wing back. Okay.
Every time he's been utilised like that in his natural role, his proper role, he has been a steady Eddie. And then against Leeds, he was more than that. He had a very good game.
I mean, how bad were Leeds though?
Well, I've been saying this for the last 2 years, mate. They're the easiest team in the world to play against. Doesn't matter how good their attitude is, how exciting. It's fucking piss. Honestly,
it's just kamikaze. It's too
madness.
Kamikaze.
It's like I remember, like I've said, I can't. It still gets me about when Glenn Hoddle said that Leeds' attitude was the man.
I nearly messaged
in a game that they won. Yeah, in a game that we won 3-0. Do you know how easy it is if you've got forwards like Spurs? That's the last thing you should do, because while we may be borderline awful at breaking a team down that doesn't want to be scored against. It's a team like Leeds. It's just like, go on then, have a go. Do you want another shot? Do you want another one? Because we're not going to. We are every opportunity, regardless of the scenario, we're going forward. And I get it. It's good. It's good to watch. But utter shit in terms of achieving or doing anything other than, I don't know, entertaining.
Yeah.
Some would say, but look, well, that's the point. And the Leeds fans, to be fair to them, when I was listening to TalkSport when he was sacked, and they were like, we don't care. We loved the football. We loved him. And they enjoyed following their football club. So there's me saying that stuff and being a bit of a dickhead, as I always am. If the Leeds fans loved him, mate, that means so much. Because
it's huge. It's huge.
It's huge. You're enjoying your football more than Tottenham fans are enjoying ours. And we're above you. So who's actually winning there? Because we're not going to win a trophy, right? But you're enjoying your football more than we're enjoying ours. So who's winning? Yeah. Leeds are winning.
Because essentially, if you finish between 17th and, second, you've not won anything, have you? So you better just enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
Thinking I'm taking the piss out of Leeds, having a go at them. They are loving following their football club. They've achieved it. They've done it.
Yeah. Overall. Yeah.
Well, according to the guys on TalkSport, they're saying we don't care. One bloke said, "I'd rather go down with Bielsa than stay up without him."
Mate, I honestly, I think when you've been down and gone, obviously you don't ever want to go down, and it is like devastating, and you're so excited to go up because you know the feelings of both. But it's never the end. It's never the end. So I agree with stuff like that sometimes. You know, and there's always that question, well, would you go down if you could win the FA Cup? Like, do Wigan? I'd happily do that. Honestly. Like,
yeah,
it's not about, it's about each, you know, it kind of goes back to what we're talking about Chelsea and stuff like that. It's like, you can say what you want about everything, but when you're in the cup final, whatever it is, you just want to win that game of football. You're not focusing on, where's this money come from? Like, you do just get on with it.
You do get on with it, and it's football for 99% of fans. It's about the journey.
Yeah.
It's about the journey. It's not because most of us don't win. Most fans probably might see their side win one trophy in 20 years, 30 years. Some might never see their team win a trophy. Most probably don't see their team win a trophy. So if you're not enjoying the journey, then what is the point? And I go back and make the point again that there are Leeds fans generally more happy, have had more joy over the last 2 years than probably almost any other set of, or any fan in the top six, barring maybe Liverpool because they've been so great. But even their record last year wasn't fantastic. I just think it's easy to say shit, and when we're doing these things, you got to say stuff that's remotely interesting. Otherwise, no one will want to listen, or something that's going to wind someone up. But it's all about the journey, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Like, and Leeds have absolutely loved it, and it's a shame because what are they now? What are they going to do now?
Well, I mean, I guess Jesse Marsh, at least there's a sort of there is a similarity to the style of play. So in terms of profile and being speedy in terms of the next manager, that's quite impressive. Well, I do think it's interesting that, like, Leeds have not been in the bottom three this year.
I know, but they were sinking fast, weren't they?
They were, but their next few games are better games. I would have given him one more game. I would have given him this week, and if you're not seeing it, then fine. But I would have given him one more week personally.
Remember also, they've lost a spine of their team. Calvin Phillips is an incredible footballer, absolutely fantastic. You lose him and you lose Bamford, it's hard.
Yeah, you captain Liam Cooper as well. Like,
yeah, I've got to be honest. I'd never even heard of Liam Cooper before he was on the bench again. I mean, he was in the stands. They went to Liam Cooper. I was like, I literally never heard of Liam Cooper.
What was this? I thought this was interesting. Chris Ruffley, Wigan fan, 100%. The FA Cup was the best day ever as a Wigan fan. Of course. I mean, what a win that was. That was amazing. And Louis Ramirez, James, you need to be in the Premier League first in order to be relegated. I know how it works. Thanks.
He's actually experienced that. So
yeah. So yeah, I've been relegated 3 times. Thank you very much.
Who's Jesse Marsh then?
Jesse Marsh
What's he done?
Jesse Marsh was at RB Salzburg. He's an American coach. He then went to Leipzig, had 4 months there. Didn't really work. I think partly down to, well, I was reading an article and it was talking about how they couldn't deal. The players at Salzburg physically were unbelievable, and then at Leipzig they weren't at that same height. So he might be able to get a real tune out of Leeds with the little cheeky bounce as well. Because
he requires, when you say that they weren't in good physical condition when he went to Leipzig.
I think they just didn't. It's more a sort of stamina thing. I think. Like, I mean, Leipzig obviously play high press football, but I think he's at that Bielsa level in terms of like non-stop.
So and obviously these players, regardless, they're fit. That's one thing that Bielsa. I mean, obviously if they're not injured, they're fit players.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I mean. Profile-wise, it's a really smart appointment. Some people think Leipzig was only there 4 months. It felt a little bit unfair, but they obviously made their decision.
He's one that sort of he's gone through the Red Bull franchise. I'm just reading here that he was in New York Red Bulls, then RB Salzburg, and then up to Leipzig.
Yeah, so it's super high press, super high press. I'm Alex in the chat. Hello, mate. Let me play for Leeds. I'll turn it around. Looking forward to it.
Mate, I've seen him play.
Yeah,
it's a good
loves
player.
a bicycle kick. I think the problem is you're not in the 25. Sadly, so I think they might struggle with that one. Reason I put Leeds here is, and sorry, there was a super chat from Peter Kelly.
Yeah, someone paid a tenner.
I know. Let's read it then.
That's mad.
Jim, did you see Joe Tomlinson? No, because it's a comment to me. Joe Tomlinson video where he inputted the results for the remainder of the season. Top guess? I don't know what it means. Top 2 maybe. Top 4. Would you turn the tables and copy him? and do a top 4 and relegation battle. I've done a video on the top 4 and the relegation battle using my own formulas. So, no is the answer.
What's the undercurrent about that statement? I don't know what that means. What you just said.
Basically, Joe and Football Daily have there's a bit of a joke there that he's copied my videos probably about 7 or 8 times now. But he always gives me a shout out. Mate, could put the link in the description. Could do that. He could do that. He does. He hasn't chosen to do that as of yet, but he could do that. Maybe top line of the top comment. He could. He hasn't chosen to do that yet.
Or he could be he could make it a part of the title. Thank you, James Allcott.
Yeah, he could put brackets TM James Allcott. He could do that, but he hasn't. That's up to him. He's got a lot going on. He's big time these days, Joe.
Yeah, he is.
Anyway, I won't be doing that, bud. But what I am going to do, I'm working on something for a title race in the similar vein to the top 4 thing and the relegation battle thing. With the relegation battle thing, you can see it in front of you now. Leeds United, Everton, and as I say, Norwich, Brentford. Quite a good game to go to. Brentford need to get some points. Sharpish.
Starting to look a little bit precarious, isn't it?
But I wanted to bring this up because this comment came in 2 weeks ago, but I thought it was really, really good. Right. Matt Bradbury. He said, I've lost track of what is or isn't a bit in the pod at the moment, but new rules. So this is a possible new bit. Let's see what you've got in the comments. New rules. Is new rules something? Basically, wildcard. So this is his rule. Wildcard season where unless you get 38 points, which is the number that you just got to get to 38 points and you're safe. Unless you get 38 points or more, you're relegated.
Love it.
I think 5 or 6 teams might go down this season, and frankly, good riddance. Come back, be better.
Yes,
that's one of your lines, Flav. Extra promotions for Championship, shake it all up. I'm so on board with this as well.
I'm all over this. What a great rule. Look, I don't give a shit. Have you got 38 points? Yeah, but we didn't finish bottom 3. Have you got 38 points? No, get out then.
I think that's a really good rule. So the initial rule...
And sorry, Jim, and you're QPR are now looking at it going... Now you're invested in the bottom half of the league because you're man, there might be 5 or 6 places up for grabs here.
And with the money situation, if you think of the gap between the Championship and the Premier League, if you had to get 38 points and there was that exchange of 7 teams, 6 or 7 teams, that would sort of water down the difference and the gap between the Championship and the Premier League.
Yeah,
I think this is
imagine
great.
the shit you'd see coming up. Incredible.
But it would end up filtering through, and there would be more quality in the Championship, more money in the Championship, less money. I guess the only problem we would have is that, but Man City and Liverpool and those guys are in the stratosphere already, so it doesn't really matter. But the problem is, you still need to spend money to stay up because you need 38 points.
I love it.
I think it's genius.
That is genius.
Maybe not 38, maybe 36.
Email someone. Do a video on it. Start the ball rolling.
Because I think there's two rules that could... So the playoff thing that we've spoken about numerous times. So you have the playoffs for the 4th Champions League spot. That's, what was it? We said it would be... So 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Fight in the playoffs for the Champions League spot. And then if you had the 38 points down the bottom as well, or 36... I think 36 is better. That would make the Premier League amazing. And it would breathe life into the Championship in terms of the money.
Right, it would, and it would be much more fluid, and the gap between the two would be comparable.
Exactly.
I wonder how easy it would be for the better clubs, though. Not better clubs, but the ones with more money, because you are bringing up dross. That's the problem.
He's on the one. Let us know new rules. I'm not buying on dross. The dregs of football, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just you're bringing up toilet.
Yeah. You know that last sip of coffee where it's cold because you've left it for a bit? That's what you think the Championship teams are, don't you?
Yeah.
Good.
I did actually, mate. I was watching the QPR Blackburn game at the same time.
Mate, how bad were we? We were so bad against Blackburn.
You weren't great.
No, we were terrible.
I've got to say, it wasn't great. But Blackburn, good side, Jim. Good side. Are they? Good, yeah.
They hadn't
scored
in 5
Benkies
games.
Are still in charge.
Yeah.
Benkies they're when they turned up, when it was the chicken, they making all the players hold chickens and that.
Yeah.
That was a real thing.
Yeah, that was a real thing.
And they made some mistakes, and they've just slowly sort of ticking things over. They could be like, can they be regarded as some of the best owners in the Championship? The Venkies,
Top 5.
top
Definitely.
5, of course.
Right, week chat. So this is terrible chat on the terraces.
Yeah.
Lloyd Harper, some solid week chat happened whilst in the Newport home end. Love that. Newport home end. Playing good football as well. Playing really good football in Newport at the moment. Doing well. And being 2-0 down, a few supporters were giving Kane, who's a player, not your one, spelled differently, a hard time. He's a young player who plays centre midfield, chanting the usual abuse. When an 8-year-old stands up a few rows in front and shouts back, "Stop! He's trying his best."
I love it. Is that weak?
Obviously, he hasn't watched League Two for long, as otherwise he would have joined in.
He's trying his best.
Stop!
Bless him.
He's trying his best. I love that.
Look, do you know what? The whole
sweet
world,
chat.
The whole world would be a little bit less toxic and horrible if everyone adopted this kid's mentality. I mean, he's an imbecile. It's nice.
Do you know what a chat I'm really struggling with? Because like when I'm not getting I'm a bad loser. So when I'm not going well at QPR, I'm feeling tense anyway. And we're a team that likes to kind of keep the ball and find a way. When someone shouts, "Get it forward!" I can't. I'm gonna snap. Get it forward! Just play it forward.
My dad, bless him, he's sort of a gammon, isn't he? And that's probably where I get it from. He's like, Gal, I fucking hate all this passing around the back. Just fucking hit it long. We got Kane there. He can header it. Just kick it along.
I get
5 days on the training pitch trying to perfect this way of playing out. Just fucking get it along. Oh, not Lloris. You're good enough to do it.
I get people getting bored of it, but at the same time, you got to understand the process. Come on. Eye test merchant.
There's another. Yeah, go on.
I don't want to talk about it. Thoughts on Borough's season, this Championship season?
That's £1 for me.
Yeah,
you making notes of this because I haven't seen.
Right,
you are. All right then. All I know is what I've seen at Spurs, and they were fantastic, absolutely brilliant against us. And it weren't like we didn't have our best side. We did, and they more than deserved it. The geezer in midfield, I can't remember his name. Is it Crooks?
Matt Crooks, yeah.
Mate, mustard, absolute mustard.
Custard.
Geezer at the back, very good. I don't know any of their names, but they were superb.
They're the best team. They're the best team I've seen at Loftus Road, and I am really worried about them. And I wish they'd go away. Chris Wilder, a good friend of mine, he's doing great stuff. But they did lose to Barnsley last week, so I'm thinking hopefully beat Chelsea. I would love them to beat Chelsea in the FA Cup. Keep that going. Too many games. Sort of fall off a cliff in the league. That's what I'd like.
Yeah, Martin T makes a good point. It's Chris Wilder is a good manager. Can't take.
It's a great take. Tom24 week chat. Played my first Sunday League game for a new team recently. The opposition made a foul throw. Standard Sunday League. To where my teammate said they can't even take a throw in, lads. Which then the guy who messed up the throw in said, "You can't play football, mate. I've played many seasons playing Sunday League."
Wow, that's not a good comeback. That's weak. That was better off saying nothing at all there, mate.
Is it? We've got more. My teammate condescendingly replied, "I'm sorry, who are you again?" It's quite good.
Funnily, why would you know who he is?
No, yeah, exactly. Sorry, who are you again? I've never heard that on a football pitch. Funnily enough, the opponent said, "Weakest chat ever, mate," which I found slightly ironic considering he boasted about being a Sunday League right back for many seasons just a second ago. My teammate then said, "I can say or do something more if you want me to."
Oh, love that. I love a little bit of argy-bargy on the Sunday League pitch.
And went on to tell them to ask his coach if he didn't believe him. What? My teammate then said, "I can say or do something more if you want me to. Ask the coaches if you don't believe me." Pretty much cringed right there. And then as the managers and subs did too, we chat across the board, but all around the Sunday League experience, indeed. We've got 1,000 people watching, by the way. If you could all hit the like button, please. And if you'd like to subscribe, then feel free. But if you don't, then please don't. And
just
last
in
bit
a comment, and I'm pretty sure I know who old man yells at Spurs. Spooky, is it you? Just say yes or no. I'm just curious.
Okay. Kieran Brown, Bill, weak chat. One that has stuck with me even 20 years later was at the Wayne Rooney Everton-Arsenal game. During the game, the Everton fans were bantering back and forth with old safe hands David Seaman. Most of this brought a laugh from David. And David will have a laugh because once QPR played Arsenal and we were taking the mick out of David Seaman and because he was QPR player and went to Arsenal. And his response, he just pretended to lift trophies, which I thought was very good. Got an applause for it. It was good. Anyway, then one grown man stands up and shouts, "Why don't you fuck off on your boat, Seaman?"
What?
Because he's a seaman. There was a short silence before Seaman shouted back, "Just leave!" Just leave. Whenever I remember back to the embarrassing moments that I've had in my life, I just reassure myself that at least I'm not seaman boat guy. It's good. Very good.
Good.
Last one. Tom, this was actually a strong shout. My favourite shout. So good chat you can do as well, guys, in the comments if you'd like to. Tom Hurdis. My favourite shout I've heard was at Everton losing to Wigan 3-0 in the FA Cup semi-final, who went on to win it. Over the tannoy, the stadium announcer said that anyone caught smoking on the premises would be ejected. A moment of silence occurred before a Scouser shouting, "Someone give Phil Neville a fucking ciggy." Ease the tension. Very good. Very good.
I remember once being told off by Brad Friedel at a game. Not just me, everybody. We was doing this 1882 movement thing. And obviously the premise of this is just to sing and have a laugh for 90 minutes.
Sure.
Part of that is singing to your footballers, your idols, right? And we were singing to Brad Friedel, or I don't know, Brad gives away, whatever it might be. He turned round and he looked at us and he went like this. Watch the game. Stop singing to me. Watch the game. Like, hey, we're trying to idolise you here.
Cheer up.
Everyone just went, boo, boo.
Bloody hell. That's a shame. Football food chat. We were speaking about it last week. Quick question actually here from Malachi Obrey. Has I'm Alex, who's in the chat right now, seen any footballers' wangs? Let us know. Alex, let us know.
What do you, on a scale of 1 to 10, has Alex seen, what do you think? Do you reckon he's seen a footballer's wang?
Or in terms of the possibility of it?
Yes. I'm saying 4. And, he hasn't. No, sorry.
He hasn't.
It's taken mystery away from him. He hasn't seen it. Sadly.
One day, yeah. Hang in there.
One day, man.
Keep going. I nearly went to watch the footy with Alex recently, and you would have been in a nice box, wouldn't we? Because it would have been free tickets. And in those kind of areas, if you hang around long enough in the toilets, you probably will see a footballer's wang. So bit of advice for you there. Football food chat. Jack, I once saw a group of old men pass a tin of Quality Street through multiple rows. 2 other old men sitting behind them at a Southend game. It was a true sight to behold and arguably one of the greatest power moves I've ever seen, sending out a strong message to anyone else considering bringing another chocolate tin, such as celebrations. They are the Quality Street Ultras and they shall not be moved. That's nice. Just pass it along. That is nice. Pass it along. Yeah. Wouldn't be allowed in now, would you? Probably. I don't know. You know when they check your bags? They probably say you probably can't take that tin in. And this was the new bit that I just can't. I think it's got a week at most. I just can't see it working out. But we'll read it out. Oz Spurs. Potential new bit. Jesus. Scraping the barrel here, Flav. Premier League. This is a sort of a March bit, I like to call it. We're in March now. So last few weeks of the season, we're sort of blowing on,
Running on fumes. Blowing on fumes. That was a good sound. Blowing on fumes.
Living off fumes, I just said. Premier League clubs. Oh, I'll tell you what. No, let's do this. Premier League clubs as fruits. For example, as a Spurs fan, I believe we are the pear of the Premier League. The pear always gets discussed as one of the big fruits. It's always in the fruit bowl, drawing, and you hear a lot about. Yeah, sorry.
Pear is. You always get a pear in a fruit bowl picture. What's it called?
Yes, still drawing. Whatever.
Display. Yeah,
Pear always gets
right.
discussed as one of the big fruits. It's always in the fruit bowl drawing, and you hear a lot about the pear. But how often do you actually see the pear acting like a big fruit, i.e. getting eaten, winning trophies? I don't think I have ever in my life seen somebody walking the street eating a pear. Pears are an enigma. They've worked themselves a reputation as a big fruit despite any real proof of it. Unfortunately, I can't help but be reminded of my football team. That is really good, actually.
That's so good. Mate, you come up with one for every single one.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I think we need to turn it back on Oz Spurs.
It's your job.
I think this is your job. Oz Spurs, because I'm not sure anyone else is going to be able to do it as well as you.
This is your bit, and you're right. I mean, where do you rate a pear in do you have to rank some fruits?
But I don't eat pears.
Okay, so pretty low.
Yeah, really low. Really low. Really, really low. Yeah. Favourite for me, banana. Actually, blueberry. I like blueberries as well. And raspberries.
Well, banana's your...
I do
like your favourite. I know
banana.
you like it.
Getting into oranges, actually, at the moment. Getting into oranges.
Yeah.
Used to be too big for me, and I was just like a bit daunted by them.
In terms of the oranges, because there's various... There's satsumas, there's clementines, there's oranges, there's...
Easy peelers.
Easy peelers. How you go and rank your oranges for me? Number one.
I've always been an easy peeler guy. Quick, yeah, you guys know. These guys know. I'd do a cheeky podcast. A couple of easy peelers. Happy days. But
and you are you happy to smash the chat segment without worrying about pips inside? Crunch through the pip.
No, I mean you get good ones and bad ones, don't you?
You do this. You do this, don't you? You do this. You go.
Yeah.
You do that, don't you?
Power move. I just spit him at my wife.
Nah. Quick. No, actually don't. I actually don't spit at my wife on a daily basis.
Yeah. You want my seed, do you love? Anyway, us Spurs. What I will say is, an orange is a nightmare to sort of, it's hard work, but when it's good, it is great. So, Oz Spurs, let us know another, or if you can give it a go, guys, if you want to in the comments. A football club that is a fruit. Premier League clubs as fruits.
I was pleasantly surprised there. I didn't think. I hated it when I first heard it, and those 4 sentences they've charmed me.
Yeah. The Samism, there's one quick one. Will Stewart, cheeky Samism at the football last Saturday. Danny Hilton comes on for Luton, and the guy next to me goes, "This could be a stroke of mastermind." He did score the winner, so in a way he's right. That's quite a good phrase. A stroke of mastermind means like it will be a challenge, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be a stroke of genius. It'd be a stroke of mastermind. It'd be
mastermind had a stroke.
I don't know. But people did want us to talk about Stephen. Do you see what Stephen Warnock did on Match of the Day?
Oh.
He said he's talking about how Klopp had brought in Gangnam Style pressing instead of Gegenpressing.
Gangnam Style.
He brought the Gangnam Style. Stinker.
Was he pulled up on it?
Yeah, it's on Twitter. People put it to the music and stuff. An absolute nightmare.
I've got to say, and not just name dropping here, but I have met him. He's actually been on the Fighting Cock podcast, Stephen Warnock, weirdly, with Colin Murray. We did this special about the Champions League final, and Stephen Warnock was one of the nicest people. He's such a sound geezer. So just putting that out there, it's important to put it out when someone is a nice person.
I've heard good things as well. But yes, on Twitter, if you search Stephen Warnock, you'll see it. I'll get done for copyright. So no can do. Right, we finish off with, this was Footballers' Wangs. It's now drifted into some weird toilet thing that I don't want to be sitting on for too long, no pun intended, but it feels like we need to flush this away. So last week we were talking about Callum with 2 L's was talking about this. He was talking about flushing while sitting down. So that was one thing.
Oh yeah, there's an outrage, wasn't there, in the chat that he flushes while sitting down in the toilet. So all the
and the patrons were like, they were fuming. They weren't happy with this. He said, "I should clarify. I do stand up and flush." That's too late now.
Hang on, before you go into this, Zach Gill has just said QPR, they're raisins.
All right. No, but he's actually not doing Queen's Park raisins. He's doing all right as a kid, pretty grim now. Yeah, fair.
Imagine that. Of all the fruits, you're a dried prune. Love it.
Big Mad Andy says, Man United equals raisins. It used to be a full, luscious grape, but they've shriveled away. Interesting.
Oh, is it grapes, is it? I thought it was prunes.
So Callum, I should clarify, I do stand up and flush. But at my mate's house, like I said, the water is so high. Did say that, to be fair. Like, no joke, you know? That bit you normally put the little plastic thing to keep the toilet fresh every flush, the water sits there. So if you go for a nasty one, then you've sometimes got a 3-parter of flushes to go through before you empty out.
Nasty one. Going for a nasty
Just before you empty out. That's horrible. Before you empty out.
Do you remember Ricky calls it a turnout. Going for a
turnout.
Shooting Stars, they used to call it a dirty boy. Going for a dirty boy.
So we were trying to get some kind of clarification on what a number 3 was. Because someone's saying sometimes it's about doing a number 2 and a 3. And you suggested that was masturbation. I was like, so what, number 2 and a number 3? Others were saying 2 and a 3 was like a wee and a... It was a lot. Anyway, Hugo Holmes said, if a number 3 is what I think it is, a number 2 and 3 in the same sitting is first of all incredibly weird, but on another level, fairly impressive. I think it is fairly impressive. I mean,
hats off to anyone who can do that. Hats off to you.
Yeah, the 2% of ladies watching us right now will not understand how impressive that is. But I don't think you can. How can you do both? Incredibly difficult.
Unless it's something that you're into. There are people out there that are into this sort of thing, isn't it?
Hopefully not.
You'd have to work up to it, really, wouldn't you? Because you'd have to have started the number 3 before the. You'd have to have a number 1, and then a number 3. You'd have to have started shortly after number 1 finished, and time it so that all 3 happen. It would be some feat. Like if you can do that.
Yeah, it would be more of a 1-3-2, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be a 1-3-2, or 1-3-2.
Yeah, no, 1-3-2. 3-2.
Yeah.
I think the hope is what you don't want to happen is a 3-2-1. All in at the same time. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's not possible. You can't be doing both, can you? You can't.
Yeah.
No. Anyway.
I don't know.
Donald Crowley, I had a friend who used to combine his 2s and 3s. Only on this podcast. Can we just review this podcast for a second? We've seen a chicken. We've spoken about an oligarch. If you're not subscribed to this channel, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what we can do. And I've just read out that I had a friend who used to combine his 2s and 3s. Reached such a stage where every time he would sit on the toilet, no matter the occasion, he would have a semi.
It's just I had a friend that would combine a 2 and 3.
He once drunkenly scarred me with this information, and I've now done the same. That's a good line. I believe that. He just felt like he was safe. He's drunk. His mate's drunk. He's gone, I think I'm all right to say this. I remember anyway if I do say it. And of course he did. Conisbee, for week chat, I was... Oh, hang on. Oh, yeah, this is kind of toilet chat at the football. Conisbee, for week chat, I was at QPR on Wednesday for a much-needed win against Blackpool. A few rows in front of us, some lad takes off his coat, goes to the toilet, comes back and puts his coat straight back on.
What?
It wasn't a trench coat or any sort of long coat. We discussed it on the way home and we were all baffled. Thoughts? Where were you sat? I'd love to know. Because do you know what I do? So you'll have a long coat at the football, won't you? And it's a little trick for people, because especially if you're at the urinal, there's all sorts of splashback, and you've got to be vigilant of that, right? What I do, I tuck the corners of my coat, into my pockets when I wee at the football, if it's like a urinal like that, so that I'm not getting splashback on my coat.
That is good. I think it's just toilets especially old school toilets, like in a hole that is Loftus Road. The toilets must have been really.
Well, let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. Now, this was 20 years ago, but we were voted best toilets in the country at that time.
Is that right?
I repeat, that was a long time ago.
I'm sorry. I'll take it back. But like, I'm thinking of like troughs, not.
Yeah, like the low one, like literally at your feet, not at your
yes,
sort of hip, not at your thigh.
Yeah, we started to descend as a nation when urinals were brought in. Men weren't just pissing into a trough. That was peak British manliness. Okay. Didn't have to worry about pronouns back then. We just used to piss in a trough, and it would go up and down. It would settle. It would stink. But we were men.
Yeah. There's a safety. Felt safe somehow.
Felt safe in there.
Yeah.
It stunk. It was horrible.
I mean,
we were safe.
I wouldn't go in too hard on the guy who took his coat off. I kind of get it. It's obviously clear what he's doing, but maybe he's not learnt the put the corners in the pocket trick. But there you go. You've got it now. And final comment. Biggs Mac 16. To be clear, the only time a sit-down flush is acceptable is in the unique scenario where a courtesy flush is needed, i.e., flushing the last of your drops hits the water in an attempt to restrict the foul odour that will inevitably spread without said flush. I found this technique particularly useful at my girlfriend's house and large family get-togethers. The only drawback is the impatient wait for the loo to reset before you can wash away the loo roll you've used.
I know exactly. I've done this.
Yeah. And also the fact anyone in earshot of the bathroom who hears two flushes will naturally
they'll know everything. They know everything you've done.
Or naturally assume you've dropped a load so Herculean that a single flush wasn't enough to do the job. Which actually, say you're meeting the parents and you pop out and you make eye contact immediately with the father of the bride, future bride. You can give him a nod and go, yeah, I'm not messing around. I need to flush.
I'm fucking about here, mate.
Yeah.
This is who your daughter's marrying.
This isn't a game.
Yeah, I am not mucking about here, pal. You want me to take care of your daughter, do you? This is what you're getting. Yeah. Proper bloke.
All right, Phil. Good weekend. When you meeting the boyfriend? How'd it go? He flushed twice, actually, Trev.
Oh, yes.
Result.
What an edge.
Oh, result. He's a keeper then. Of course he is.
He's a gentleman. He's a gentleman.
And there you have it. I don't want to talk about toilet stuff much more, if I'm honest.
Yeah, well, we're done with that. That's enough.
Enough of that.
Just shit.
Stay safe, is what I'm saying. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for joining us. I know it was early, but we appreciate it. Have a great weekend. We'll be back next week. If you want to become a patron, link is in the description, I think. And we will be back on the mailbags next week. Anything you want to say?
Everyone have a wonderful weekend. And you're all lovely people.
Yeah.
And enjoy things because this is the time. I don't know what that means.
We can only move forward.